Alright, good day to you guys. I know I'm not around this week, but still I do have something for you to do. Okay, first there are three parts of the lesson. So the first part will be referred to page 61, grammar. Okay, page 61. So now we'll be learning about adverbial clause, and definitely in this clause you normally have subject and also verb. Alright, subject and verb. Look at the sentence. It's written after he finished his training. Now if you can see, there is subject here, okay, and we have verb here. But if you notice clearly, this is a clause. We call it dependent clause, and it is not complete yet. It could be maybe you have to put a comma here and then you need to continue. Okay, it's hanging. If you just put this way, it's hanging. So we need to have the complementary. Complementary means there should be another clause we call independent clause. So we have two clauses at the same time. In this case, after he finished his training, he went back home. Maybe there's another way of saying it. After he finished his training, he was too tired and took a break to go back home. It could be many ways, but to say only this clause, it is definitely is hanging, and we call it as dependent clause. Okay, so look at page 61. You will learn few more examples of dependent and also independent clauses. So in order for you to have a full sentence, you will have these two clauses. One is dependent, another was independent. So to look at page 62, you will see the table. Independent clause and also dependent clause. So independent, for instance, a complete thought. What thought? What the change of the thought will do. So a complete thought, what? Maybe there is another additional information. Another one, a sentence. What? There should be no head and a tail. A sentence, what is it all about? So you should have independent and dependent to make sense of that whole sentence. So hope you can go through the table, and there are few examples here. Now, another one more thing important to know about adverbial clause is the type of clauses. There are few. It's been categorized here. If you can see here, is time, is when things happen or the event took place. We have place, where it took place as well. Cause, what is it, why it happened. You have contrast, how it happened. And you have few more at the back, page 63. Well, take your time to go through the words at the end column here, because you're going to use these words later in the exercises. So take your time to recognize the words here. Well, once you have already known what is dependent and independent, that's where you can do 4.6. You have to identify or underline adverbial clause. Again, what are adverbial clauses here? Look back at the table. I told you to look at the last column. Then only you can actually identify them and underline place. Once you have completed 4.6, only then you can go 4.7, complete it by matching sentence A and sentence B. That is part A and part B. Well, 4.8, if you can do it, take your time to do it. Okay? It's not compulsory, but you can do it. I encourage you to do that on your own, just to see whether you have really understood what is dependent clause plus with independent clause makes sense of the whole sentence. Now, let's move on to the second part of the lecture. Just now was grammar. Second part will be writing. Now, writing, today I'll be teaching you about compare and contrast essay. So perhaps you might have learned this before this in EP1, EP2. Well, it's nothing different than that. Look at page 64. Alright, look at the table here. Compare. And when you compare, definitely you look at the similarities first. And then when you want to contrast, you look at the differences. Let's say there are two things given. You have given two choices, whether to study at home or to study in a boarding school. So there are two choices given. Definitely there are two different places. And there are pros and cons. This is how you're supposed to judge your ideas. Pros and cons. Well, let's have a look. Some of the words that we can use to compare. One, let's say when you compare and look at the similarities, both things are the same. How are you going to say things? You can use the word like both A and B has what or have what, alright? Have similar ideas in terms of what. You can use as well as, we can say package A as well as package B offers the same promotions. Example, I'm just giving you spontaneous example, alright? You can also use the word and, to, also, like and similarly. However, when you use contrast, which means you are talking about A is something else, B is something else, it's contradicting, then you should use words like however, on the other hand, on the contrary, unlike, while, whereas, instead, meanwhile and while. Example, let me give you an example. While Zainal is talking to his teacher, his friend is actually reading a textbook. So it's while two people are doing different things. They are not listening to the same person. One is talking, another one is reading the text. So two people are doing different things. Contrast, eh? Look at page 65. Okay, here you will see the contrast between ancient Olympic Games and also modern Olympic Games. Even though it's Olympics, alright, although these two are games, but there can be similars, alright, there are similarities and there are some differences. So here it made it simpler for you to understand what are the similar ideas and also what are the differences. So again, remember, when it is similar, you have to use the words that you learn at page 64, like both, as well, and so on. But when you're trying to compare the ancient Olympic Games and also modern Olympic Games, then you have to use the other column. What is it? Contrast words. Okay. Now let's look at 4.9. Now 4.1 expect you to write sentences using words to compare and contrast ancient and modern Olympic Games. And definitely you're not allowed to use the words again. What words are these? The words of this, using these words. That means you can only use once. So think carefully. So whether you're going to write, there are 6 sentences you can write here. Now look at the first sentence. Both ancient and modern Olympics are held every 4 years. What it shows? Both. You write this before here. It's both similar ideas. Which means both what? Both ancient and modern are held every 4 years. Similar idea. Okay? Now number 2. Number 2, they have 2 different ideas. But how are you going to write that? While ancient Olympics was organized to honor gods, modern Olympic is just merely a sporting event. Again, pay attention to which word has been used. The word why. It does contrast 2 different ideas and 2 different purpose of having games. So you have to do another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on your own. Similarities are here. The comparison or contrast is here. So you can do whichever sentences that you want, but make sure there are 6 sentences. Alright? Well, and the last part is I would like you to look at the sample of writing This is compare and contrast writing. As usual, an essay will have introduction, 3 bodies and 1 conclusion. So in introduction, definitely you should state that you are compare and contrasting what? With both 2 items, let's say 2 different aspects. Here is like both ancient and modern versions is different, but in terms of what? Because you have 3 bodies, right? So you should have 3 aspects that you're going to compare and contrast. So what aspects are those? You have to state them in the introduction. So once you have stated, that's already like thesis statement here. Okay, thesis statement here. And you move on to point 1. You have topic sentence. Alright, definitely you will start off with, let's say, it's the first aspect is purpose. So what is the purpose? If 2 different purpose, then 2 different purpose, and elaborate more, a little more. Followed by body 2 as well, second differences, also second aspect, which is sporting event. And finally, is the third aspect is medals as well as the participants, also differences. How you differentiate, make sure not only topic sentence, you should elaborate on your own, okay, with more information. And finally, we have conclusion. You conclude the whole thing. So that's your homework. I'm going to repeat again what you should do. We started with page 61 grammar. I taught you about what is adverbial clause, what is dependent and what is independent clause, and what makes a complete sentence having these 2 clauses. I expect you to do 4.6, 4.7 to match. And if you're free, please complete, reconstruct sentences here. That will actually improvise, and it will encourage you to know what is the use of independent and dependent clause. Then followed by, we went to second section, which is compare and contrast. We have essay. Alright, you have to do 4.9. There are 6 sentences that you have to write, followed by an essay to be done, page 4.10. Okay, it is the difference between compare and contrast between individual sports and team sports. Knowing that this unit is all about sports, that is why the activities are all pertaining with sports. So have a look at the sample guidance, how it been done. I think it's a good example given to you from introduction, point 1, point 2, point 3 and conclusion. So I guess it shouldn't be a problem. Follow the same guideline and you will be able to complete it. So by the time when I come back and I'll see you during week 10, make sure that you have done from page 61 until page 68 or 69. From page 61 to 69. I will definitely check your work. So make sure you bring along your book, because we're going to do listening practice also during week 10. With that, thank you everyone. Have a nice day and yeah, enjoy the weekend.